got done with the Indiana lessons, and most of the time you think, oh, we're going to go to the beginning of the chapter or the beginning of the book and start with chapter 1. We're not. If you guys look at your pages, you'll see that on the top of page 191 it says lesson 1. But if you look at the bottom of page 190, it'll say chapter 3. We are starting at chapter 3, okay, lesson 1. And what we're learning is about integers and absolute value. Whenever you come to a lesson, you'll see an essential question that is like, what happens when you add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers? This is what we're going to learn, because remember, I gave you guys that IXL assignment, and I said, oh wait, you haven't done negative numbers yet. You don't need to do that. Well, now we're going to do some negative numbers. You're going to learn about that in this chapter.
Vivian Casiva to the office, please.
The vocabulary terms that you need to know are integer, a negative integer, a positive integer, a graph, and absolute value. You're going to learn all of those vocabulary terms within this lesson. Okay? So let's talk about our vocabulary startup. Numbers like 5 and negative 5 are called integers. An integer is any number from the set, ... negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, ... Where ... means continues without end. So what is an integer? An integer is a positive or negative whole number. So we're going to describe integer. We're going to describe it as a positive, and if I'm writing it on the board, you're writing in your book, positive or negative whole number. When it says to picture it, that's where this vocabulary term comes in. This is a picture of the graph. So some examples of an integer would be negative 5, 5, negative 275, 0. They're all whole numbers. They're negative and they're positive. Some examples of non-examples, that means these cannot be an integer, would be fractions. And a fraction can always be turned into a decimal. So a decimal is not an example. And a percent is not an example. Those are some non-examples. So if we have a real world situation here, it says the bottom of a snowboarding half pipe is 5 meters below the top. Circle the integer you would use to represent this position. So go back. We are going to circle keywords. It says the bottom of the snowboarding half pipe is 5 meters below the top. There is a keyword there. What's my keyword? Below. Below. So I want everybody to circle in your book below. So if the number is below, is my answer going to be a 5 or negative 5? Negative 5. So then we're going to circle the negative 5. Another situation that uses negative integers. We need to come up with some of those. There were 2 in your bell work today. When did we use a negative number in our bell work?
When it has like deep below sea level.
Below sea level. If something is below sea level, it's going to be negative. There was another time that we used it on our bell work.
When we were looking at the meters of
What is that thing called?
the
The thermometer. When you're talking about temperature, you use negative numbers, so we are using the thermometer. Go ahead and turn the page. When you see in our books, when you see the bright pink, that's giving you what you're going to learn about. So right here it says identify and graph integers. That's what we're going to learn. Which ones are? Identify means to tell me which ones are, and to graph them means to put them on that number line. So negative numbers are integers less than 0. They are written with a negative sign. If you guys look at your desks, you will see a graph or a number line on your desk. What color are your negative numbers? Red. And here, they're also red, because you'll consider all negative numbers are going to be in red. Whenever you, if you're in a business, and a business owner might say, hey, we're in the red right now, that means they're losing money. So that means that company's not doing so hot. These numbers on the right, on your number line and up here are in blue, but they can also be considered black, okay? The most important thing to know is negatives, you're going to think red, okay? Positive integers are integers greater than 0. They can be written with a plus sign. You don't have to put the plus sign, okay? If you just write the number by itself, I'm going to know that it's positive. You have to write it with a negative if it's a negative. 0 is neither negative nor positive. A note you're going to put here, we call that neutral. Just like with cars, vehicles. If you put it in neutral, it's not in drive or reverse. So I'm not going forward or backwards. I'm right here in the middle. So that's what you need to know about 0. It's neutral. Integers can be graphed on a number line. To graph an integer on the number line, draw a dot on the line at its location. Go ahead. So let's do some examples. Write an integer for each situation. An average temperature of 5 degrees below normal. I want to know, before you write the answer, my keyword I need to circle. On the count of 3, I want the answer. 1, 2, 3.
Below.
Okay, so we're all circling that. And then the number that you would write would be? -5. An average rainfall of 5 inches above normal. I want to know my keyword. Above. Circle it.
Where did you circle in the sentence?
I don't know.
The other sentence?
And then if it's, that's just giving the answer.
Oh.
So if it's 5 inches above, what am I going to write? Just the 5. Do I have to put a plus in front of it?
You don't want
No.
to.
You do not have to. So now we have some got it problems. And it's saying write an integer for each situation, 6 degrees above normal. What do I need to circle first?
Above.
And then what am I going to write? That's it. 2 inches below normal. What am I going to circle?
Below.
And then what am I going to write?
-2.
Okay. So we have the hang of it. When you get problems like this, you need to circle key words, key terms. So now this says for our third example, it says to graph the set of integers 4, -6, and 0. When you get ready to graph, always take a close look at your number line. Because sometimes the ticks are worth more than 1. Okay, sometimes they're only worth a half. But if I go from 0, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, put a dot there. A -6, I find -6 and put a dot. For 0, I find 0 and I put a dot. Pretty simple. Any questions so far? Okay. So we're going to be at the top of the next page. So if it were to graph this, we're gonna do this one together, and you're gonna put it in your book. If I have a -2, an 8, and a -7, when I make a number line, you're gonna start by making the number line. You're gonna have to have a 0 in the center. Now I need to know how much do I need to go to the left and how much do I need to go to the right. Well, to the left are what numbers? Negative numbers. Excellent. How far? What's my smallest negative number? -7. So I'd have to at least go down to what? -7. You at least have to go to -7. I usually tend to go at least one more. So let's say -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. We said this was -7, and we're gonna put a dot there. What's my highest I need to go to the right? 8. Let's go one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll come back to the 8. What's left that I need? So I've already graphed my -7, I graphed my 8, and now I need to graph my -2. So here's -1, -2. There's something I did not put on my number line that I'm missing. Can somebody tell me what I'm missing on my number line?
The numbers like before.
You could keep putting the numbers on there. I could have every single number listed. I could. Rory? Go ahead.
After thousands.
Okay? Okay. Close. What am I missing? Jameson. Jamin.
The arrows?
The arrows. I'm missing it. When you draw a number line, you have to have arrows on the end because it goes on forever and ever and ever. And maybe that's what you're trying to get at, Kai.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was right, so that's why I said, where is that?
Oh, I'll give you some flavor. Thank you. Okay, so you have to draw your number line, okay, and it would be best to then also label it all. If you're asked in this lesson to draw a number line, you will need to draw it. There's no getting out of it, okay? For D, if I would draw this number line, look at your negative numbers. How far negative do I need to go? -4. I go one more. How far positive do I need to go? 10. So, what do I need to make sure is in there?
Arrows.
And you start at the 0, right? And I want to put arrows on the ends. And I'm going to go up to my 10. So I didn't draw it big enough, so I'm going to have smaller ticks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm better just erase. 9, 10. Then I go -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9, -10. And then I find my -4. So here's 0, -1, -2, -3, -4. Put a dot there. I have to go up to 10. So I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And -3. -1, -2, -3. Put my dot. Oop, I forgot to put my dot on my number 10. And then +7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now you should have practiced with me making 2 number lines. Here's another key concept, something that's important, and it even gives us an arrow, and I said it's in bright pink, and it says key concept. Absolute value. It'll tell you in the words, and it'll give you examples, and I'm also going to describe it a little bit more. The absolute value of a number is the distance between the number and 0 on a number line. Basically it's saying how far away from 0 is it, okay? So if I have the -5, the number of a -5, how far is -5 from 0? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the absolute value of a negative 5 is 5. The positive number 5 is how far away from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the absolute value of a positive 5 is 5. You're going to write a note. For this absolute value, you're going to write off to the side, always a positive answer. So the absolute value is always a positive answer. Because it's a distance from 0. How far away from 0? It's always going to have an answer. So it says on the number line in the key concept box, notice that a negative 5 and 5 are each 5 units from 0. Even though they are on opposite sides of 0, numbers that are the same distance from 0 on a number line have the same absolute value. So that's why negative 5 and 5 both have the absolute value of 5. So the absolute value of a negative 4 is what?
4.
That's it. And it's 4 units away from 0. But now we're going to get another example here. We have, and watch how I want you to do it in your book, because they're going to kind of go off to the side a little bit. It's going to be written like this. So I'm just going to show you what I want. I want line for line. You're going to go, here's your original problem. So what's the absolute value of a negative 5? What's the answer?
5.
So you bring down the 5. Then you're subtracting, so I'm going to bring down a subtraction. And the absolute value, it's not going to be negative. It's just 2. It's not the opposite. It's how far away from 0. So then I just take 5 minus 2 is 3. That's a minus sign. Okay? So for E, the absolute value of 8 is?
8.
Just write 8. It's not negative. It's not the opposite. It's how far away from 0. For F, you just bring down the 2. You bring down the plus. What's the absolute value of
3.
a negative 3?
3.
And then you show 2 plus 3 is? You're not doing any of this in your head. It takes 3 seconds to write that down. I need to see every line. And all we had to do is 2 lines. The absolute value of a negative 6. 6. And then I just bring down the minus 5. 6 minus 5. And that's it. I'm done. Go ahead and go. You guys get to story problems and you guys like freeze and you guys stop. Don't. They're not as hard as what you think. This one is kind of like what we did in our bell work today. Nick climbs 50 feet up a rock wall, then climbs 22 feet down to a landing area. The number of feet Nick climbs can be represented using the expression the absolute value of 30 plus the absolute value of a negative 22. How many feet does Nick climb? It's not asking you to do any subtraction, because I'll give you a picture of it. If Nick starts right here, he goes up 30, right? But from there, he's going to come down another 22. Do I subtract those? Because if I did subtraction, I'd say he only climbed 8 feet at that point. Is that what we want? No, we want the total amount that he does climb. So that's why you're using the absolute value. So it'd be 30 plus 22, which is 52. And the guided practice. You're going to do numbers 1, 2, and 3. And you should be able to be done within 30 seconds. Go. Eyes on me? A deposit of $16. First, you need to know what the word deposit means. Can somebody tell me what deposit means? Robbie? Huh? That's the opposite. You don't, when I deposit something, I don't take it out, I put it in. You need to, we're gonna write this in. Deposit to put in. Deposit means to put it in. What does it mean then? What's that word that means to take it out?
Withdraw.
Withdraw. So that's what we're gonna also write. Those are key terms that you need to know. To withdraw means take out. So if I'm depositing money, I'm putting it in, it's going to be, is it gonna be positive or negative? Positive. If I'm putting it in, I get paid for the work I do, they deposit my check into my banking account. So they're putting my money into my banking account. So you should write that this is a positive $16.
I thought you deposit something, I thought it means like take it out. Like
No, withdraw means to take out. A loss of 11 yards. Negative 11. We don't want any of that tonight, boys. Not during the football game, no negatives.
Well, I mean, the 8th graders have been playing the whole time, so.
Wow. 6 degrees, you never know, you might get in. Below 0,
Really? Carter?
negative 6. What didn't I do? That I said, hey, make sure you're doing these?
Oh, you didn't circle all the words that we need.
Okay, let's start back here. What do we circle? Deposit. What do we circle?
Loss.
What do we circle?
Whoa.
Go, keep going on. So now, if it says to evaluate each expression, this is where we show our line for line. So what's the absolute value of a negative 9? Put it on the line. The absolute value of 18. You write it underneath of it, because we've got some math we have to do. Bring down the subtraction sign. The absolute value of a negative 10? So 18 minus 10 is? 8. Write it underneath of it, and then you can rewrite it on the line if you wish. 6. The absolute value of a negative 11?
11.
Bring down the subtraction sign, the absolute value of negative 6. And then 11 minus 6 is?
5.
Graph the set of integers. 11, negative 5, negative 8 on a number line. Check out our number line. We are going in increments of 2. But I have an 11. So where am I going to place my 11 on my number line, Carter?
28, 10, and 12.
Halfway between 10 and 12. I'm going to put my dot right there. Where am I going to put my negative 5? Ollie?
Between the negative 6 and negative 4.
Okay, next time say between negative 4 and negative 6, but yep, exactly halfway. And then I have a negative 8, it goes right on the negative 8. Why is the absolute value of a non-zero number positive? A non-zero number would mean a negative number and a positive number. Why is the absolute value always positive? Called it.
Because it's always that far away from 0.
Excellent. It's how it's the distance from 0. It's always your full distance from 0. Write it down. Go ahead and just stay right there for a minute. Our next page starts us with the independent practice, and a lot of times we'll do independent practice as our homework, but we're not going to do the independent practice because we are going to do, the extra practice. So, looking at independent practice, turn the page. And then you see the extra practice. Go ahead and go to the extra practice. I was gonna show them on here, but there's not one on here. I want everybody to look at, on the extra practice, I want everybody to look at number 25. Okay, when you get to problems like 25, we're gonna follow the same way. A negative 10 is what? So I put a 10 underneath of it.
What about you?
Leave the division sign, leave the 2, leave the multiplication sign, and then the absolute value of 5 is, okay. Following the rules, right, of you guys say PEMDAS, I say please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, it's the rules of the order of operations. When they are in the same fact family, fact families, I mean, multiplication and division are a fact family. Addition and subtraction are a fact family. These are a family and these are a family. If they're in the family, you just work it left to right. Because even if I say, please excuse my is multiplication, dear would be division. So if I was thinking that way, I would have done my multiplication first, then my division, but that's not correct. You go left to right. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then bring down 5 times 5 is 25. So then you can have those for help for numbers 26 and 27. And let's take a look at, then turn the page so you're on the back of the page. Just a review of the coordinate graph. You are going to put some labels on that coordinate graph. You're going to say, that's fine right there. You're going to say X, Y. Do it on both. X and Y. Then here, you're going to write the coordinates X, comma, Y. X always comes first because it's in alphabetical order. And another thing you guys might want to remember it as, you always have to run, then jump. You run, then jump. So running means you go left or right, because I can run forward or run backwards. So that's my X. Then I'm jumping, I go up or down. Okay, so I run first, left or right first, up or down second. Okay, so if I had to write the ordered pair corresponding to each point graph at the right, then state the quad. I don't really care about that one right now. I want you to find J. So I'm going to find J. This line here is 0 and this line is 0. I have to run first. You always start at 0, but I'm going to go backwards. 1, 2. So that's a what number?
2.
Not a positive 2.
Negative.
Once I go to the left of 0, I've got a negative 2. Then I'm jumping up how many? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So to a
So
positive 4.
if it's going up, that's a positive 4. Then on the bottom it says to graph and label each point on the coordinate plane. 2, comma 4. I go over 2, then what? Jump up 4. And I need to label it, so, and it's labeled A, so I need to put an A right next to it. Your work to complete is all of the extra practice. So you're doing page 197 and 198. So numbers 18 through 38.